SAO the best SAO season. Stay cool, Kirito. So what's up guys, Foxen here. Time for my full SAO Season 3 review. 2 years in the making for Kirito's new adventure. We're gonna find out everything, the good, the bad, the rushed. And I do apologize in advance for the length. So go ahead and double that like, it really does help out this video. And let's go ahead and get started. First off, just a super quick background for me and SAO. First off, the SAO Season 1 anime. I liked it. The anime made it seem like it was a one and done story. The SAO Season 2 anime. This is where I felt that SAO truly expanded and matured. I mean, you had the GGO arc that gave you Shinan and Kirito's PTSD struggles. And the best of all, my favorite arc with Asuna and Yuki in Mother's Rosario. So while I liked Season 1, I fell in love with the series overall with Season 2. Then for the SAO movie, I really treat this as its own SAO arc. This really had everything I wanted and more. If anything, SAO Order no Scale cemented my love for the anime. Fast forward a few years, you get into SAO-licization. What would Kirito and Asuna's adventure be next? Oh wait, sorry Asuna. Kirito got Best Boy Yuchio for this SAO ride. This was a completely different experience. First off, I wouldn't be anime only anymore. Plus, like you watching, I would no longer be in this self-contained bubble. For the SAO-licization story, you could really think of this SAO arc being similar to the SAO movie, just in a grander sense. It builds on all the past seasons that came before it. The one key difference is that SAO Season 3 also builds on SAO material outside of the anime. Oh yes, I'm talking about the SAO light novels, especially parts that the anime cut out. This is really a pretty important key. SAO-licization is arguably seen as the best arc by most SAO light novel readers. Although despite this, when I actually dove into the source material, licization ended up being one of the arcs I felt the most mixed about. For the actual SAO Season 3 anime, this had a tough challenge. It had to not only introduce and flesh out this brand new underworld isekai place, it had to set up like over 50 characters. This included the Human Empire, the Integrity Knights, the Dark Territory, villains. So first off, the great stuff I found for Season 3. 1. The character portrayals in the anime. I mentioned earlier how I fell in love with the SAO anime, emphasis on the anime part. I somewhat doubt I would have felt the same for SAO if I had started with the SAO light novels first. I have read so many other isekai like Konosuba, Re:Zero where I have felt the same. The anime is what brought these series to life for me. For the anime, you now actually get to experience the actual characters, their voices. This definitely did a lot for me for characters like Papa Bercoli, Finatio, Quinella. Her voice actress is freaking amazing. How does Quinella also not have a figure yet? Come on, that would print money. You also have other characters like Tisei and Roni. Honestly, in the source material, they didn't exactly feel like actual characters to me. And although you don't get much of them in the anime, that completely changed. For Best Boy Yuchio, actually realizing this character in the anime was huge for him. I do have to admit that the light novels do flesh him out in some levels that the anime doesn't ever really achieve. And I really wanted to love this character in the light novel. Perhaps it may not have helped that his death got spoiled for me. But then flipping it to the anime, I already knew that was coming. And despite that, I actually felt a connection and love for the character. I got Yuchio. Likewise for Alice. Despite the anime cutting out so much for this character, I did really appreciate how Alice came across in the anime. One thing that really stood out was just her manner of speaking alone. This was huge. You really were able to get a really clear sense of her character development from start to finish, which is still ongoing. Number 2, the character designs, and designs in general, from the various looks like the academy uniforms, including both of Kirito's black getups. You got all the various goddesses, pretty distinct from one another. Come on, bring out the figures sooner. Quinella's grape dress, or lack thereof. That birthday suit Quinella would be an instant buy for me. You got the various integrity armor. They actually managed to make the armor look pretty unique. I especially liked how customizable it could be. You got Alice's, Finatio, Edith, or even Bercoli, no armor, most of the time. On top of this, in the anime you actually got to see the incarnation of their sword. All the various unique ones really gave me a Bleach feel. And despite getting abridged in the anime, you also had the Dark Territory people. The designs of the goblins, the Dark Knights, the Dark Art users, the melee guys, the ogres, the giants, the dragons. Character design and design in general is so important when it comes to a series in anime. The high quality animation. Most other anime just cry when looking at SAO. They would kill to look like how SAO Season 3 looks. I will mention there is a very clear difference in quality when watching Alicization from episode 1, then switching over to War of Underworld, and then another jump when you go into War of Underworld Part 2. It got me wishing that instead they should have split this into 4 parts. I really wouldn't have minded waiting if I could see high quality animation throughout the series like this. Who knew that SAO would eventually look this damn good? SAO season will look so dated now. Especially for War of Underworld, you have beyond A+ material. I keep on thinking back to Bercoli using his time-splitting sword, and Goddess Asuna using Mother's Rosario, 2 really prime examples that would make your eyes orgasm. I'm gonna remember this for decades to come. It really is mind-boggling how they could be so much god-tier animation in one season. As a bonus, props to War of Underworld for actually having war scenes using CG sparingly. The Alicization visuals. You know it, I know it. Reading about this stuff, you don't get the same feeling. I always wonder how things look like exactly. From the painting of the 3 goddesses, plus Vecta, the ocean turtle, the light cubes inside of it, Wrath, the Ruled Village, the End Mountain, Quinella's Tower, all the various Integrity Knight perfect weapon controls, and then expanding into the Dark Territory, all the various Dark Territory races, and then even smaller things like the wings on Kirito's back, which included the angel wings for Asuna after she drank a Red Bull. How would the Angel of Death Gabriel look munching on Kirito's heart? Oh wait, and so much more. You really can't stress enough how much visual information this adds to the story. The music. Yuki Kajiura is back, the absolute SAO goddess. Along with the various ladies coming back to do the opening and endings, you got Lisa, Asuka, Reona, which is a newer SAO darling. I don't care if you don't like SAO, you know the music is top tier. Also, shout out to Reona for the insert song in the Yu-Gi-Oh scenes. I can't listen to this without immediately being brought to tears. And Lisa, everything she produces is gold. Funny enough, the standout for me is actually the War of Underworld ending. This really is special. Updating SAO Season 3. What I mean by this is including stuff from the SAO Ordinal Scale movie. Things like the Ogma device, Yuna plus Eiji. If you had read their side story, you know how much the new scene meant for both of them in Season 3. For the opening of Season 3, you had the GGO scene with GGO Asuna. So badass, I got the figure right away. You had the introduction of Gabriel, Vasago, and Quinella a lot sooner into the story, or at least hinting at them working their magic in the background. If anything, I wish they went further with some of the Season 3 updates. That's coming up. All those scenes elevated in the anime from the source material. Some super quick highlights. Yu-Gi-Oh being corrupted by Quinella, plus the Reona song in the background. Yu-Gi-Oh's death. Unfortunately, it almost didn't hit me in the light novel. But for the anime, you had him dying, plus a scene of young Yu-Gi-Oh and Alice walking into the light. That really gave me that empty feeling in my chest. Quinella. Huge props to the anime studio actually doing the stripped down fight versus the Underworld Granny. Liz's speech. Oh yes, combined with Lisa's ending. This got brought up a few levels. So wonderful. Bercoli's fight and his death. Really ending with Papa Bercoli dying with a smile on his face. Yuki appearing with her cameo, along with Asuna using Mother's Rosario. You already got a taste of this from the SAO movie. This was beyond what I could imagine for this, the definition of perfect. Yu-Gi-Oh helping out Kirito. Once again, this is something that hit me a lot harder than the light novel ever did. There were so many scenes throughout the season where it was really hashtag cry time. For me, that was true for almost all episodes of War of the Underworld Part 2. I think that really says a lot. Switching over to the not so good things for Season 3, and let me just get a few quick things out of the way first. Most of the supposed SAO issues that people seem to have almost always seem to fall under what that person wanted instead of what they actually got in the series. So let me try to separate the two. I did recently rewatch the final chunk of SAO War of Underworld, which I highly recommend. It really fixed or lessened some of the issues I thought I had. First off, the underlying root for anything I've had, SAO Season 3 being rushed and all the cuts. I think this point was made especially clear with War of Underworld. Trying to be a little fair, SAO Alicization did have the tough task. They had to adapt 10 light novels full of info and lore in only 47 episodes. At the same time, if you have read the source material, Season 3 feels like it's moving way too quickly. Let me know if you felt the same. Naturally, some of the scenes were adapted great, or even better than the source material, while other stuff got put into a blender, got abridged, or were simply cut out. For anyone familiar with light novel anime, I really do need to stress on how these cuts are not at all unique to SAO. For example, ReZero has also suffered from this, especially in Season 1 where certain light novels only got like 2 episodes. You got other examples like Konosuba, where they're pretty much their own thing when it comes to the anime. And these are some of the better examples. If you want to go really bad, look at light novel anime like Arifureta, where the anime really butchered the original story. There's also Overlord. That's definitely one where the light novels are required reading. Since I've been covering so much light novel anime recently, I've noticed a trend with what's commonly cut out. Character thoughts or monologue. Who needs to understand your character's deeper emotions? What they're really feeling? Imagine the Attack on Titan anime, Eren, Mikasa, Armin. Now try to picture that with half the dialogue or thoughts removed. I bet you wouldn't feel the same about the series. Removing explanations or info. Time to figure it out yourself by piecing stuff together. An extension to this, almost no flashbacks, which is really good or bad depending on how you're looking at it. Shonen anime is the most popular stuff, and it definitely loves to spam flashbacks. Due to this, I do feel it's conditioned the viewer, sometimes holding your hand way too much. Character jokes or fun dialogue. Who needs to be funny? Any foreshadowing? Not needed. A sequel is unlikely to happen, so who cares? Which at this point for SAO, that shouldn't be the case. Any world building not needed for the story? Out. The Underworld is perhaps the most richly defined world out of any manga or light novel I've experienced. The anime really doesn't come close. Did you know the Underworld people don't need to poop? Then something specifically for SAO, the removal of Aincrad or past arc world building. I dove into how SAO came into creation recently from Reki. Reki has actually used future stories to flesh out events that happened back in the OG SAO. For example, the info of Kirito getting his trusty sword. Any mention in the anime was totally removed, and there's a lot of examples of this. It is a shame too, since I think you could see it too. A much better visualization than what the anime showed you. If only it was given more time to breathe. And don't get me wrong, it isn't possible to capture every single light novel detail. But making season 3 longer could have made Alicization really solid. Even one more core, 2 more cores. SAO Season 1 Part 1 felt like it was really trying with this. It felt like an anime that casual SAO fans could enjoy. But then switching to SAO Season 3 Part 2, especially the final chunk of the war, this was when SAO became Fate. It suddenly switched into a series for hardcore SAO fans. Want the full experience? You gotta become a light novel reader. War of the Underworld even had the SAO games as a supplement. The frickin' game has backgrounds for some characters that the novel never touched. This includes having original animation not in the anime, and if they do have the scenes from the anime, they're actually expanded on. There's hours and hours of this. I only wish someone in the production of the series made this very explicit for the global audience. Similar to Fate, you can enjoy this anime solo, but to get everything the full experience, you need to read the source. If you had any question, I promise you this was addressed in the light novel. Seriously, I could feel the frustration from anime-only people as I was reviewing SAO Weekly. While watching the series, I actually wanted to forget the light novel stuff. I didn't even want to reread to see what was skipped or abridged. For SAO Alicization Part 2, it really was never my intention to try to fill in the gaps, but it felt like my review slowly became more and more, almost 50% explanation for things that the anime skipped out or cut. Anyway, for more specific things that sucked that got cut, the Laughing Coffin leader, unfortunately the background reduced or simplified to just being a serial killer. For Gabriel, this guy got reduced so much in the anime. I always didn't think that he was that interesting of a character, but then the anime further reduced this. For the knights like Renly, Fizzo, Linneo, they really got shafted in the anime. I do feel like some of these characters would have been beloved if only the anime actually spent the appropriate time fleshing them out. For other things cut out, I really wish the anime just simplified some things, even at the risk of dumbing things down. One key thing, incarnation. This willpower concept was really introduced early on, and they kept on adding and expanding to it as the story went on. Getting to more specific cuts, all the stuff removed from Asuna. And this extends way beyond a kiss scene. Asuna is supposed to be Kirito's equal, his lover for Stasia's sake. Honestly, she really doesn't get enough credit. Defeating the SAO castle? All the credit in the story and from SAO watchers, they give that to Kirito. But it was actually Asuna that overcame the system twice before him. For SAO Alicization, there were so many important Asuna cuts. Early on, you had Asuna reflecting on her mistake back in SAO. Her hesitating to kill that Laughing Coffin creep. Not only had she put herself in danger, it ultimately made Kirito take the burden for that kill. Which is why Asuna firmly decided, next time she would protect him. Every time, in every world. This type of reflection really shows a lot of character development, but the anime showed none of that. There were other things too, like the ambulance scene. We really got a taste of the horror in Asuna, as her lover, her partner was dying in front of her, and she was helpless to do anything about it. SAO Season 3 already didn't have a lot of Asuna. Even worse were all the cutscenes from her in the war. taking a step back, it feels like the production team might have wanted to give an equal-ish screen time for each of the goddesses, so they cut and cut and cut. Yet it wasn't supposed to be balanced in that way in the first place, which ultimately feels like it hurt Asuna the most. I mean, you have that example of the random blading, which is so awkward after the anime cut Asuna using her goddess powers. Asuna was also supposed to turn into a freaking donut, which should have been similar to the Leafa scene. You should have seen Asuna commanding her troops. You know, Asuna showing off her commander skills, something you saw in the SAO movie. I mentioned earlier the potential Fluck-like damage. Her physical brain was at risk at getting damaged. This was really something that should have been hammered in the anime. The cherry on top for this crap sundae was a cut kissing. I really wouldn't have minded if they moved it somewhere else. But instead, let's go ahead and push a different romance tease. Yeah, that's coming up. I could, however, see the studio thinking, oh, SAO fans already got a ton of Asuna in the SAO movie. And don't worry, you're gonna get tons of Asuna in the SAO progressive anime. So it's fine. But it's really not. Next up, Alice and some of the love romance stuff in general. In SAO-licization, you have such a wonderful character with Alice, the first full AI being born. You had young Alice dying, and the Integrity Knight that got left over being used by Quinella, which ultimately led to Alice losing herself, and then her struggling to realize what she really was, her place in the world. Her father figure got taken away by this false god. You had Alice being ripped into this unknown world, being reversed isekai. Alice, truly such a compelling character. But then you're gonna take that and trash it all, instead teasing this love crap with Kirito and Alice. Seriously, what the hell? Unfortunately, the anime does leave out a lot of context for her character, like her thoughts, inner monologue. Take the scene of Alice crying with Potato Kirito at her side. Unfortunately, most people misinterpreted the scene altogether. Alice was in such a mess mentally. She was actually considering killing herself and Kirito just to end their suffering. A1 Pictures also made that supposed almost kiss scene, when it wasn't supposed to be anything like that. And let's call it like it is, the studio knew what it looked like. They kept on freaking teasing it in trailers. On top of this, all the love crap being pushed in the final episode. Alice, you don't freaking know him. Even she admitted this, she spent like half a day when it wasn't Potato Kirito. If you actually think about it, Alice actually spent more time with freaking Asuna. She knew Asuna better. For season 3 overall, I could look past the love stuff from Shinon, which was completely unneeded. Borderline awkward or creepy with that freaking necklace. For Liz and Silica, this too completely unneeded, which honestly feels like a step back from the events from the SAO movie. I even recall Reki admitting in a tweet that he wished he had changed this. Why didn't you? You had the chance. On top of all of this, Alice, her feelings, her supposed love expression for Kirito. To make it worse, A1 Pictures seemingly pushing this Alice romance. Honestly, it really sucks. For me, this whole thing is a dark stain on SAO-licization, and I was really hoping that the anime would fix it. This alone brings alicization down a grade at least for me. And I know, you could point out to this random tweet from Reki, or some obscure interview where Reki clarified Alice's or any of the girls' feelings towards Kirito, but honestly, fuck that. And either way, 99% of anime watchers won't care. Why even show that in the freaking anime? This isn't supposed to be some bottom tier harem series. This really isn't fair to Kirito, and especially Asuna, who is Kirito's only lover. I mean, it drives me freaking insane whenever I got people asking me if Kirito and Asuna would stay together. Bonus points if they supposedly claim they're an SAO fan. But unfortunately, you got a lot of scenes like this that could be easily misinterpreted, especially by younger viewers. For Alice going forward, I would hope that part of her progression is moving away from Kirito, which will be especially tough now with Kirito being such an important lifeline in real life. The thing that sucks about this is that now you have the same development plot point for multiple people. It is too repetitive and completely unnecessary. A step back from the SAO movie. I swear, if someday I do get a chance to meet Reki in real life, I really want to pick his brain about this. And I really only say all of this about Alice since I really love her character. I know some people are going to misquote me or not hear what I'm actually saying. The female characters have been the strongest from the SAO anime and series overall. Alice is no exception to this. But I really do love this character. I will be spending a lot of money on her figure. Perhaps the only thing I can say is an improvement in the anime was Alice being catty to Asuna, that being toned down or mostly removed, which was a huge positive. Although it feels like I'm just begging for scraps. Kirito! It's almost ironic how Kirito is the main character of SAO, yet perhaps he's been one of the most mistreated in the SAO anime. Kirito's character thoughts or monologue removed, which ultimately hurt more significant scenes when they did come. For a few anime cuts that come to mind right away, Kirito struggling with his black swordsman persona. This was such a defining plot detail, cutting out Kirito's inability to hold relationships. This was actually something that I think a lot of people could relate to. And I saved it for the Kirito section, the Asuna cuts. For example, Kirito thinking about Asuna while in the underworld. They even removed Kirito crediting Asuna as a key reason why he was able to endure those 200 years. Ultimately, you get to Kirito's defining scene, Kirito's breakdown. To be fair, the actual suffering, the actual bloody part was well done in the anime. However, the moment overall feels too watered down. I really hope that this worked much better for you. I'm trying to think about why it didn't work as well as it could have for me. 1. I might have had higher expectations from the Yujo scene in the first part. I think different music could have helped a lot. 2. All of the things cut out before it, or the watered down things for Kirito. This was ultimately building on Sachi and the guild. The actual episode was rushed in the anime and then you had all the cuts from it. And then 3, I do admit, totally unfair, but I think part of me without wanting to is comparing it to Subaru's suffering or any breakdown he had. On the flip side, being second to ReZero in suffering isn't all that bad. I truly wanted to like this a lot, but I'd be lying to myself if I said I did. The Kayaba cuts. For me, Kayaba has been one of the most fascinating characters from the series. What seemed like a black and white figure is currently more gray. What was he ultimately trying to achieve? SAO Alicization does ask this, and even does heavily hint at some things coming up, or at least it did in the source material. So if you're curious about Kayaba like me, check out the light novels for him alone. Next up, me nitpicking, what I would have changed or would have rather seen. First off, Kirito's black coat. After seeing this so much this season, honestly, I am tired of it. And trust me, in the story it makes total sense, but visually, it feels so outdated now. After this, it's really time for an upgrade, a change, maybe even ditch the 2 blades, spice it up some. For Asuna, if anything, watching SAO Alicization has made me realize how much I love this character. I really do wish Asuna got introduced into the story sooner. I'm even wishing that even more after seeing all the anime cuts. I was actually hoping that Asuna would have been secretly training in some different academy or area, while Kirito was doing his own thing in the underworld. Likewise, I would have actually liked if Asuna helped to kill Vasago completely. I'm still waiting to see more of Kirito and Asuna teaming up in future SAO content. You had a brief moment of that in the SAO movie. The Academy time skip. This was really such a missed opportunity. It could have been fleshed out for the anime. Even if the anime just made this a huge big info dump, it could have really expanded on things like the Sacred Arts, the Academy, in general just giving season 3 time to breathe. Quinella. She's perhaps been the most developed villain figure for SAO. Vasago and Gabriel do not compare one bit. Looking back at the series, I think she died way too early on. And sure, you did have her appearing in SAO World of Underworld, but that wasn't enough. Let me actually give props in the anime to how they displayed Quinella. Rewatching this made me realize you never actually got to see Quinella at her full potential, at her full power. It's actually almost funny how Quinella was pretty much responsible for her own death. Alright, so moving past the good and the bad, how exactly would you rate SAO Season 3? Instead, let me ask you, where do you rank Alicization among all the SAO arcs right now? I know this is long, but pause the video and post it below. I do see the SAO movie as its own thing. So the top tier is Mother's Rosario and SAO Ordinal Scale. You then have GGO, and then the rest. SAO Alicization would be somewhere in between that, so around second place. Spoiler, it'll likely be in my top 10 anime of 2020. And let me quickly address this for SAO Aincrad. It does feel like it belongs to its own special section, since it really is the foundation for everything that came afterwards. It's just a shame that so many people couldn't move past it. I just truly wish you and everyone could have really watched and enjoyed SAO Season 3 standalone, since I truly saw the potential for a much better and loved story in the anime. If only they gave it more time to breathe. If only it got more episodes. But no, instead he got SAO going the Fate route. But I don't like being negative. SAO Alicization got an anime at all. You got almost 50 high quality episodes. Most of the anime would kill to get just a 12 episode season. I really do wish more people enjoyed SAO Alicization and SAO overall. Perhaps that's my naive wish. For most anime people, the anime will be the final product. Full stop. Honestly, part of me does wish I could experience SAO Season 3 without any light novel knowledge. If that had happened, I really do wonder how I would have felt about it. Especially when it gets into War of Underworld, where there's an obvious exclusion of information from the anime. So let me toss it to you, what did you think of SAO Season 3 overall? Is it truly the best SAO? What are the best and worst parts? How do you rank it among the other arcs? I'm super curious, so let me know below. I will be reading. If you made it this far, be awesome and do hit the like. I really can't stress out how that helps the video a lot. Anyway, fun bonus. Who was your favorite new character in Season 3? Yujo, Alice, some of the Knights, Gabriel? Definitely subscribe for more SAO and anime videos. I know like half of you aren't subbed yet. Watch my in-depth look at SAO Progressive, and I'll see you guys later.